Hi guys, happy Monday. Actually, I love Mondays, so it's good. Alright, so we're going to continue with the rest of yesterday's Modern Magic lesson. It gets a little more interesting than I thought, so... It's very interesting. So, more on mind control, brainwashing, just a little bit, and then it goes into more of sexual magic, so it's pretty interesting. So listen to this. Alright, so there are several different aspects to sexual magic, and it is difficult to divide them into categories as they overlap a great deal. So, nothing orgiastic. So even so, if it is so necessary to make loose categories in order to discuss the subject, so do understand that these divisions are just communications for communication's sake. This is just for knowledge only. This is just informative. So, and other writers may not follow them. So, I divide these types of magic which use the sexual energies as the fundamental source into three groups. Okay, so now we have the first one is thought control. So this is pretty interesting, I thought, and this ties back into yesterday's video. So this is a method of controlling sexual energy via the mind during sexual excitation and orgasm. So this may not sound difficult, but it actually requires that you concentrate on something while you are in a state of consciousness, where directed thinking is very difficult. So can you guys do that? It's very easy. It's very easy. So this will be explained later, including how to overcome the problem. It's super, super simple. So we have the second one, which is inner alchemy. And this is the stuff that I really like right here. So this is a type of white magic. I don't know why they keep referring to it as black, white, gray. So, which most people call white sex magic. So it's an important part of the Taoist alchemy, also called Taoist yoga, and the Tantric yoga. So this is working with the body, the internal rising of Kundalini, which is insane. Some purists may be upset that I am introducing Oriental elements into this course. However, as I have said, I am very eclectic. Okay, he's very eclectic, so give and take. Take, the pagan gods, and goddesses, and replace them. So, since the writings of Helena something, Oriental mysticism has been incorporated into Western mystical philosophy and practice. So even the Golden Dawn took much from the East. So this includes both the ideas of karma and the Tatvic tides. A system which can help in understanding and working with magical elements. Also, it is unfortunately true that with the denunciation of sex for anything but procreation, as taught by the Christian Church for over 1,500 years. Wow, that's terrible. So, much of Western sex magic had to be deeply hidden, so this was not the situation in the East. And thus, there is much more material, even if it is, in many instances, heavily disguised. So that, I think, number 2 was where a few of my books came from, just one, Love Letters from Lucifer. So, few of you have that book, so... Alright, now we have number 3, we have outer alchemy. So this is more along the lines of gray magic. It uses sexual fluids, which have been magically charged to the end of it achieving a chosen goal. A lot of people say that you have to charge your sigils that way. I don't. I mean, I have. I've tried that, but I don't know. I don't think that's, always the best way to do sigil magic. I don't think that. I mean, who has time to... Yeah, nobody has time for all that. I mean, I don't. Just, drawing the sigil takes up too much time. No, it doesn't really. So, alright. Note that this uses tangible elements as opposed to sexual forces, which are the basis of inner alchemy. So, outer alchemy is frequently associated with Western Hermetic alchemy as much as Western alchemical literature. So, once you know the code, it's simply disguised instructions in sex magic. So, it's everywhere. Everywhere. So you can definitely find it in the tarot cards. I mean, it is everywhere, literally. So none of these three systems is easy to learn or master. Further, only 100 years ago the techniques were deep secrets and spoken of in hushed whispers. So, but we are in a new era, and with the knowledge which may now be shared along with the sincere and dedicated practice, anyone will become proficient at any of the techniques of sex magic. So, always be careful, because you can create a thought form, and it can wreak havoc on you. It did me. Scary. So, alright, now many magicians do believe that sex magic entirely traces its heritage back to the Tantrics of India and Tibet. So while much of sex magic does come from those structures, there are aspects of sex magic which are from traditional Western sources. So even they do have similarities with Eastern practices. So the biggest thing that comes to my mind is Lupercalia. The biggest one. Just poof. So as an example of this is that sex and committantly, sex magic is a basic part of the Kabbalah. So yeah, actually yes, it is interwoven within the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah. Now that I think of it, now that what I've read, yeah. So even Stoji A.E. Waite, with blushing face no doubt, admits in the Holy Kabbalah that supreme wisdom of the Kabbalah is mystery of sex. So he also reports that the Zohar makes clear that the best time for a man and a woman to have intercourse is on the holiest of days of the week, the Sabbath. That's interesting. So it is also stated that if a man travels away from his wife for a long time in order to study Kabbalah, on his return home, his first duty and obligation is to make love to his wife. Okay, so we have that. Of course, there is a difference between sex and sex magic, but by understanding that the tides of the Tree of Life are masculine and feminine, and even the Tetragrammatron is composed of masculine and feminine letters, so one can see the inherent sexuality of the Kabbalah. But let's get practical. So there is a good Hebrew book called, I don't know what this is called, it translates to the Holy Letter. So this book dates from around the end of the 13th century. So, and on the surface is a type of medieval Jewish marriage manual. So, alright. So today's marriage manuals are nothing more than sex books giving various positions for sexual intercourse and other sexual activity. In ancient China, these were known as pillow books. Like here we have Pillow Talk. That is, yes. But marriage manuals were not always such. So many hardly even mentioned sex, limiting discussions to philosophy and simply psychology. It's still taboo. Very much so. Very much so. So this was primarily due to the cultures wherein these books were written and to the censorship rules of that society. So we can kind of go back and see now, like for instance the Bible again, how a man shall not lay with a man. That was just that time, that era. Those people did not want that to happen in that era. And that was against their rules of their leaders, not God. So, where'd I go? Okay, so Judaism and Kabbalists did not cringe from sexuality, as did many cultures. So one of the holy books of the Jews, usually called the Song of Solomon, on the surface is nothing more than an erotic love poem. So that's pretty neat. And that's what Love Letters from Lucifer is. Yet Rabbi something, a famous mystic, one of his disciples, Simon Ben, it's very interesting. Yoachi is said to have written the Zohar. So, said of this work, the whole universe is not worth day that book, the Song of Solomon. So, has been going to Israel. So, further, he said, all scriptures are holy, but the Songs of Songs, actual name of the Song of Solomon, is the most holy. Certainly there is more to the sex of the Song of Songs than mere just eroticism. So, very different. So the Holy Letter discusses sexuality in all of its aspects. This includes the mystical and magical aspects of sex. So thus we read, when a man unites with his wife in holiness, pretty much the energy is between them in the mystery of man and woman. So since the Sechena, so is equivalent to the idea of God's Holy Spirit or the Tantric Shakti, energy of the body. Note the similarity in the sound of the words. So we can see that the author of this book is talking about something special. Indeed, the author is discussing what is commonly called Kundalini Yoga. So, more accurately, Layaya Yoga. Something like that, yeah. So this will be discussed when I talk about inner alchemy. So the Holy Letter also mentions that this aspect of sex magic, which I term thought control, this type of sex magic can be the most palatable for people from Western cultures. So it could be. The Holy Letters state, according to the thoughts you have in intercourse, so will the form come upon the seed. Alright, so that makes a lot of sense. That's why you have to be very careful that you don't create something that's going to try to wreak havoc on your life or yourself. So superficially, this means that if you are thinking spiritual thoughts and when having intercourse, you will have a spiritual child. A moon child. Okay, that does make sense. So, okay, if happy thoughts, a happy child, etc. Wow. My parents must have been really pissed off. Wow, that's very different. Alright, as we all know, however, every act of sexual intercourse does not result in the birth of a child. Or does it? Could. Very well. So certainly I could not deny that the number of times sexual intercourse leads to the birth of an infant human is small compared to the number of times sexual intercourse is performed. So, yeah, condoms, whatever, contraceptives, yeah, all that good stuff. But think back to my comments on creative visualization. Remember that you are constantly going through the visualization process, whether you realize the fact or not. Likewise, every time you have sexual intercourse, you give birth to a magical child, even if no human child is the result. Or, to put it in another way, the key idea behind the thought control form of sex magic is that the thought held at the instant of orgasm comes to pass. But sometimes it takes just way too long. I mean, but it really works. So, unfortunately, this is not as easy as it might sound. It's easy for some people that have a lot of control. So, to understand why this is so, we must look at the theories of Dr. Willem Rake. So, many professionals in the field of psychology dismiss Rake. They claim that one of his basic theories, that people who were psychologically disturbed could not have an orgasm, is false. Well, yeah, I'm disturbed, and I can still have an orgasm. It is clear that many people with pathological problems are capable of having an orgasm, so such as the instance of a violent rape. I don't like that. So, and since this is a basis of many of Rake's, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, Rake's theories, so they must all be wrong. So, well, it is obvious to me that none of these experts on Reich ever bothered to read any of Reich's work. For Reich never said that people with psychological problems could not have an orgasm. Reich knew that such a person could have an orgasm. So, he must have been aware of the important psychological text, Psychopathia Sexualis by Krafft-Ebing. That book had been the physician's resource on sociopathic sexuality for many years. Wow. It's interesting. It's really interesting stuff. So what Reich said was that a person who was psychologically disturbed was not orgasmically potent. Okay, so a less potent, watered down in a way. Alright, so Reich believed that during sexual excitation, an energy which called orgone built up in the body, Alright, now that's the man that came up with the whole entire theory of orgone. And that is why I still always use my orgone pyramids. All of the pendants that I create. Still got them. Still for sale. So yeah, orgone in the body. It's pretty neat. So it built up in the body. So for full mental health, this energy needed to be discharged during orgasm. So you could compare this to blowing up a balloon. As the sexual excitation increases, more air is blown into the balloon. If you lose control over your consciousness, the air will be safely discharged through the valve on the balloon. If, on the other hand, you do not lose control, the balloon increases in size and pressure until it pops. So, the analogy is perfect. Very perfect. So, similarly, the natural and healthy in and outflow of orgone energy does not occur, according to Reich, in a person with a psychological disturbance. Oh, I think it does. This type of person would have a greater or lesser emotional, psychological, and or physical control of him or herself at the moment of orgasm. So this controlled behavior, according to Reich, is not healthy. So to be a healthy person needs to be orgasmically potent. This means that during the convulsions of the orgasmic experience, a person should not be thinking, am I doing this right? Is my partner enjoying this? Rather, a person, wow, that about came out wrong, should be so caught up in the very animalistic enjoyment of sex that nothing can be thought of. So there should be only pure thought, free experience. That's different. That makes sense too, though. So, does this idea of thought-free experience sound familiar to you? It should, because going into such a state is exactly what true meditation is. So much. I mean, that's incredible. So, alright, Reich discovered that the moment of orgasm can be identical to true meditation. I can honestly see how that would be and how that would come about, and the mental state that you're in when you are in true meditation. That's incredible. I love it. So, Reich believed that being orgasmically potent, being able to achieve the thought-free, sense-oriented state described above, was the only way to release orgone energy. So that's why we create these devices. Orgone busters and towers and pyramids and pendants and everything. Literally. I mean, I have orgone everywhere. Not. That sounded really bad. Alright. Where did I go? Okay, so if it was not done by the human, balloon would pop from overinflation, so of orgone energy. This popping would be in the form of psychological problems. So while it is true that this is one way to release the orgone energy, I must disagree with it being the only way. See, I agree. Totally agree. So, Tantrics have methods of controlling this energy at will. I thought that was more thunder. So this will be covered in a section on inner alchemy. So further, it is not true that a person experiencing an orgasm, which is very potent, is without thought. In fact, such a person is only without conscious thought. So the act of sexual intercourse or other sexual activity wherein a person is brought to orgasm is so primal that it takes us to a period before our rational consciousness ruled ourselves. So thus it's our unconscious which holds sway over us at the moment we experience an orgasmically potent orgasm. Wow, that is tongue twisting. So, as I said before, the unconscious is our link to the astral plane, also called the Yetzirah. I think I said that right. World. When you create something in the astral plane as a result of your thinking procedures, it must come into existence on the physical plane. So it's just the timing. When is it going to happen? That's just a major gear. So, where'd I go? So, whatever thought is in our mind at the point of orgasm goes directly to the subconscious and into the astral plane. So it must manifest. This is why the thought held in the mind at the instant of orgasm must come into existence. So, but that is also the difficulty to open up the subconscious. We must be orgasmically potent. This means we must temporarily lose our sense of self, our ego. Unfortunately, that aspect of our being is locked up with our logic, our logical reasoning self. So if we lose that, how can we keep an idea in our mind when having an orgasm? Anybody? So luckily there is a way. The subconscious does not think in words. It thinks in symbols or images. So just think, visualize. That's all. Visualize. Alright, so where'd I go? Okay, so you see the word tree, say. But the subconscious and your memory keeps an image of a tree you have seen or imagined at one time or another. Just like when you tell somebody don't visualize anything, don't visualize the back of your hand. What are you going to do? You're going to visualize it. So, where'd I go? Okay, so therefore all you have to do is make up a symbol to represent what you want. Sigil magic. Symbols, shapes, and objects can stay with you through an orgasmically potent orgasm, while words will not. So simply keep the symbol in mind when you have an orgasm. And, though this is not difficult, it does require practice. So, I would say practice, but this is for educational purposes only. Alright, so here is a sex magic ritual for a couple. So let both participants be aware that a magical act, a spiritual act, is about to be performed, not just a common act of sexual intercourse. Very different. Very different. And I like the way he explains it, that he disagrees with the Reichs. You know, you have to be completely 100% mentally stable in order to produce orgone energy. When you don't, that's not the case at all. Pretty interesting stuff, though. I mean, there's so much to learn, and there's just not enough time. Thank God for reincarnation. Alright, but like I said, I'm not coming back again. Oh God, my jaws. Okay, now step 1. Let both participants know the purpose of the act. A divination should be done with both persons present to ensure the karmic correctness of the magical act. So, step 2. Let a suitable sigil, yes, representing the purpose of the magical act, be designed. Although a sigil taken from a grimoire will do, designing an original sigil is a good idea. This means the system of AO spare is quite good for this. So, step 3. Let large versions of the above sigil be made and placed around the room. This must include the ceiling so that no matter what way you look, you are going to see that magical symbol. Sigil. So, step 4, a place of comfort should be established in the center of your area. Most commonly, this is a small mattress or a pad of some kind. So if there is a room, place your altar at the head of the place of comfort. If there is not enough room, let the place of comfort be your altar. I'm seeing a little bit of LaVey Satanism mixed in with this. Do you guys sense that kind of undertone there? The living altar. So I actually find that kind of interesting. Alright, step 5. Both participants should take time now to shower and or bathe. So do this separately. Use appropriate scents, perfumes, and oils on your body after you dry yourself. Oils are especially good for this, as different oils can be used on different parts of the body. As you come into your temple, remember that this is a holy place. Perform the opening by watchtower. So, yes, I like the idea of placing the sigils all over. So, pretty interesting and pretty neat. Alright. Step 6. Now move to the place of comfort and begin to caress and adore one another. Slowly remove each other's robes. If you wish, apply lubricating body oils to each other as you continue to caress each other freely. Explore each other totally with eye, ear, mouth, voice, hand, foot, tongue, etc. So all of this part of the ritual, think not of the rite, rather think of yourself and your partner. Let your sexual imagination run free. So, step 7. When both people are ready, begin actual sexual intercourse. As you continue caressing for a few moments, there should be no thrusting motions on the part of either participant. So this is a small tantric guide. Alright. So, now step 8. Begin very slowly, very slow, thrusting motions. As you both become more involved in this part of the rite, observe the sigils around you. Do not concern yourself about their meanings. So your subconscious already knows the meaning. Just look at the symbols. That's it. Alright, so step 9. Allow your passion to dictate the speed of your movements until the intercourse is quite rigorous. If you wish, change the position of your ritual lovemaking. So this is why it is necessary to post copies of your sigil all over the room. No matter where you look, no matter what position you're in, you must be able to see a copy of the sigil. So that makes a lot of sense. So place as much concentration as possible on the symbols. Continue to orgasm. So if the couple has been together for a while and both know each other's sexual responses, it would be best if both could orgasm at about the same time, although the so-called mutual orgasm is not necessary. So you can do that by yourself. Do this all by yourself. There you go. Alright. Now step 10. Stay coupled. Allow the penis to remain in the vagina. Oh my god, wow. For as long as possible, to a maximum of 15 minutes. During this time, the ritualist may caress each other, but refrain from much speaking. Step 11. Re-robe and do the closing by watchtower. The rite is complete. So, it's very interesting, and we have some, commentary here on this particular ritual. So, notes on the ritual. 1. The length of time of actual intercourse is not critical, but there must be enough time allowed to build up the energy, which is released with the symbolic thought at the moment of the active participant's orgasm. A minimum of 10 minutes is appropriate, but over half an hour is unnecessary. Wow, certainly women will not have a problem with this, except possibly soreness due to prolonged intercourse with insufficient vaginal lubrication. Okay, this can happen to women who are not used to extended periods of intercourse, and can easily be remedied by the use of a high-quality sexual lubricant. Astroglide. Alright, so men, on the other hand, quite frequently have trouble staying erect and not having an orgasm too quickly. Masters and Johnson say that the average period for man between insertion of penis into the vagina and orgasm is about 2.5 minutes. Wow. Seriously? Since this is an average, the implication is that some men will have an orgasm within seconds of insertion. Wow. Later in this lesson, we will be instruction on how a man may delay his orgasm. It's very easy, especially within the realm of magic. So, alright, 2. This ritual may be done with partners of the same sex. It also may be done heterosexually. Alright, so, note, after anal intercourse, the penis must be washed thoroughly before vaginal intercourse. Yes, for all, whatever hygiene purposes. So, 3. The sexual position held by the couple at the moment of orgasm is important. Here are some tips. Alright, missionary position. Man on top is good for situations where magic is done to positively affect the man's environment. An example, allow him to get a raise, get a better job, etc. Very interesting stuff. Now, woman superior, which is woman on top, for situations where magic is done to be positively affected the woman's environment. So male behind, laying like spoons with the man behind his partner, also kneeling with the male behind his partner, is for sending energy such as healing to a friend of the man. For a friend of the woman, it can be, once again, be with the woman on top, but with her back to her partner's face. So, 4. This ritual may also be done as an act of oral sex, as mentioned in this instance. There is not a place of comfort, but a chair called a throne. So the person who will have the orgasm sits in the throne, while the partner kneels or sits at the foot of the throne and performs fellatio. So the king or queen on the throne needs to hold the symbol in his or her hands and look at it while the partner performs the sexual stimulation. So the person fellating a king should swallow all of his semen. So the person performing on the woman should lick and swallow all of her sexual fluids. Anyways, 5. This rite may be done solitarily. So the male may masturbate himself. If this is done, he should catch the semen in a small vase with a copy of the symbol in the vase at the very bottom. So the vase should be then sealed. Alternatively, he may catch the semen on a dish or plate and consume it. Our partner may stimulate the man to orgasm by hand and consume the semen. Okay. Wow. Alright. Where'd I go? Okay, so similarly, a woman may stimulate herself by hand or with the aid of a partner or even artificial devices, such as penis-shaped vibrators. After orgasm, she should detective douche with a small amount of pure water, all of which should be saved, mixed with wine, and consumed. Ooh, wow. This is really getting deep. No pun intended. 6. Sexual experimentation and variation can be very enjoyable, but ritual is not the time to try new things. If you feel sexual positions which you have not performed previously with the partner of this ritual is appropriate, it should be practiced beforehand, so that both of you know the most comfortable way for you to hold position for several minutes. So, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Alright, now 7. Although both the Kabbalah and the Tantras disagree with him on this point, those who like Crowley may agree with him that you should choose anyone to do the rite with, and they need to know. Wow, so this is very Crowley. The purpose of the rite. Personally, I feel this is a type of sexual abuse, and experience has been shown that it is not successful as when both partners are aware of what is happening. So I mention it here so that if you like to follow Crowley, you will know the difference in his system. Alright, I see the big difference in his system and this system. Alright, so I think for now, well, we will go over some divinatory techniques just real quick. So this ritual is done the same way as the ritual above. Alright, so however, the purpose of it is strictly for divination. It can be used as part of the evocation rites of the previous lesson. Read in the previous lesson the characteristics of a person who will make a good seer. So it is this person upon whom the technique will be performed. So there are 3 aspects involved in any divinatory technique. The diviner must 1. Turn off the outside and turn on the inside. 2. Alter the state of consciousness, and 3. Increase the blood flow to the brain. So in this ritual, turning off the outside involves the use of what is called the Yoni Mudra. This is a position where the hands actually close down the other senses, so it is done this way. Now put your hands in front of your face, so that the fingertips touch and palms are toward your face. Seal the mouth by locking the lips between the little fingers and ring fingers of both hands. This holds the mouth shut. So seal the nose by pressing against the nostrils with middle fingers of both hands. Seal the eyes by holding the eyelids closed with the pointer fingers of each hand. Finally, seal the ears by closing the little flap of flesh in front of the ears over the entrance to the ear canals with each thumb. So this position closes most of the external senses and allows others allows the inner senses to come through. In a previous lesson, I gave instructions on how to alter the state of consciousness. So methods include the use of alcohol to produce mild intoxication, lack of sleep, etc. And I don't recommend any of that. So in this rite, the method used to increase the flow of blood to the head is to have the head below the rest of the body during intercourse. So if you have a mattress for the place of comfort, the seer may dangle his or her head over the side of the mattress. If the seer is in very good health, pillows may be placed so that the hips and legs are elevated. Can't talk again today. So in fact, if oral sex is used, the position on the throne can actually be reversed so that the person's legs are over the back of the chair and the person's head is at the foot of the chair. Sounds fun. The partner stands behind the throne and performs oral sex on the genitals, well, obviously, which are near the top of the chair's back. So important. This should not be done if the seer has high blood pressure. So, when the seer has achieved orgasm, he or she should be questioned in a manner similar to the techniques in the previous lesson on evocation. So, if information about a particular subject is desired, the seer may look at a symbol which the partners have created. So before moving on, a final point about the Yoni Mudra. Students have told me that they have trouble breathing in this ritual pose. Well, not only is it difficult to breathe in this position, it is impossible. Separate the middle fingers and inhale through the nose. Hold the Yoni Mudra and your breath for as long as it is comfortable. Then separate your fingers from the little fingers and exhale through the mouth. So when I explained this to students, some of them complained that it takes some of the spontaneity out of lovemaking. So please remember, however, that this is not regular lovemaking. It is highly ritualized and formalized. It is for a purpose, not only for pleasure. Kind of different. I mean, some good tips. Another divination technique which uses sexuality is definitely not for all practitioners. Most will not wish to do it, and that is okay. It is called comatose lucidity, and does not involve a coupled pair. Rather, the ritual involves one ritualist seer and several aides who are usually the opposite sex. After the opening as above, the aides, and the more sexually oriented they are, the better, attempt to exhaust the ritualist sexually by every known means, and arouse the ritualist sexually by every known mean. Every device and technique known may be used by the aides. So, if some of them tire, they should be replaced by others. Finally, the ritualist seer will sink into a deep sleep as a result of utter exhaustion. Wow. So now the goal of the aides must be altered. They must try to awaken the ritualist through sexual stimulation alone. But upon the first signs of the ritualist awaken, all stimulation must cease. So, this should continue indefinitely until the ritualist is in a state which is between waking and sleeping, and in which his or her spirit, set free by perfect exhaustion of the body, and yet prevented from entering the city of sleep, communes with the Most High and Most Holy Lord of God, Most Holy Lord God of its being, maker of heaven and earth. Interesting. Yeah. So the rite is over when the ritualist falls into a deep sleep, into a total sleep, or awakens and has a final orgasm. So, and falls into an undisturbable sleep. So upon rising after this sleep, the ritualist seer should immediately write down this on her remembrances. Alright, so that's pretty interesting. So this ritual of comatose lucidity is from Crowley's works, although it is said that the technique was devised by and given to him by one of his woman students. Another example of sex magic of this thought control type is novelized in Crowley's book, Moonchild. Good book. Good book. So, there is no more position for divinatory sex magic, which I will share with you. One more. So let me make it clear, however, that it is designed primarily for people who are slender, athletic, and strong. It involves a tantric sexual position known as the crow. After the usual opening and much sexual stimulation, the man, while standing, lifts the woman so that she is upside down and facing him. In this position, they may have mutual oral sex. Usually the woman will lock her legs behind the man's neck or head, depending on the length of her legs. The man will usually support the woman by holding her around her waist. So this position can cause the man to tire physically quite easily unless he is in very good shape. So the woman who is completely inverted will have a great deal of blood flow to her head, and this can lead to seership and divinatory experiences. So, the only technique that I have not tried, nor any of my students confess to, is comatose lucidity. But I can say from personal experience, and from the reported experiences of some of my students, that these types of sex magic techniques are some of the strongest and most effective magical techniques available. So it's pretty interesting, very interesting, to see what you can manifest by doing that. Tomorrow we will go on to part 2, which is all about outer alchemy. Yes, outer alchemy and inner alchemy, and it's gonna be good. So I think that's pretty interesting, pretty neat. Something that's very, it can be useful, especially by yourself. But I just like regular magic. I mean, it's all a part, So whenever you're reaching climax, you really have to have that symbol. So put a $1 bill, put a $100 bill above your bed. Something like that. But yes, definitely, you can definitely create thought forms, which do take on a life of their own, and wreak havoc, which mine did. And he is sitting right on my altar, bottled up, sealed. We have an agreement made with each other. So yes, I think I did a video about this too, way back when. So, but alright guys, time for a live live tarot readings. So I'll be doing this probably for this week. So it's $5 question, $5 one card spread, $5 minimum donation, and it will be live. So alright guys, I love you all very much with all my heart, all the way from Venus all the way back down. And I will see you guys tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoy. I hope that was, educational purposes only. And yeah, let me know what you guys think below. So, alright guys, I love you all and thank you very much for watching.